one less radio man, and about 4 or 5 less guys in the engine room. So I got it all down to where I think I had it down to 99 people. And I handed it to him and said, "Here it is, Cap." He didn't expect that. And Lord Almighty, he turned pale, the poor man, because no military commander is going to reduce his force, particularly if he's thinking of promotions and higher things. Oh boy, that was a kind of a comical moment. And as I reflected on it later, it was hilarious with me. And he was a pretty nice guy, and he ran the ship pretty good. It was all right.
You had some Canadians on board as well?
We had 2 Canadian officers who was on board. Captain Wood had his 13-year-old son that stayed with him in his cabin. The 2 Canadian officers stayed in the cabin too. The captain.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, we had 4 hydrographers that came on from Washington.
Okay.
That was going to make the trip for the soundings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We had the air detachment. I think there's about 5 enlisted, and a chief that flew one of the helicopters, and a JG that flew one of the helicopters. We had 2 helicopters.
They were Coast Guardsmen, though, right?
No, they were Navy.
All the helicopters. I knew the crew was Navy.
They were Navy.
But
The whole
the
crew
pilots
was
were
Navy. The whole crew was Navy.
Right.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and they came on board, and I know that was the extra people that we had, you know, plus whatever other people.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I didn't remember the weatherman or anybody like that, but
It was
they said they
weatherman.
was.
Yeah, there was a weatherman. I remember him, a Navy guy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember his name anymore. I knew it was an Italian name, but I don't remember the name.
Was this a kind of a joint operation with the Navy? Is that why there's so much Navy personnel on board?
Well,
It's kind of strange to have all these.
I think
Navy
at the time we didn't
hydrographers.
have a lot of helicopter pilots. I think that might have been one reason they went and got the Navy to.
I see.
And they had the Canadian officers for the liaison between Canada and what we were doing.
Sure. Okay.
Now, why did they have these helicopter pilots? Tell them why we had them.
The helicopters are the ones that they would take off,
Mm-hmm.
and they go up in the air, and they would look to see where the ship's going to go. They'd
Right.
look for the leads through the water.
Yeah.
Because as the eyes, there would be leads through the
Made
water.
a hell of a difference.
Yeah,
Right.
where you could go through. You know, you might look, well, that looks like a good lead, but the helicopter goes up, no, that goes to a dead end, and they find the spot that you can go through.
Mm-hmm.
And they were fairly instrumental. You know, they would direct which channel to go through so that we could go further.
Was it? That wasn't one of the first times they were used, was it? Or was it the first time they were used?
I don't
on
know
these
if it
stores?
was.
Our ship. In fact, they decked that ship out to accommodate.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That was
Yeah.
the first
Right.
time?
A special deck was
Right.
built on aft called a fantail storage,
Yeah.
a wooden deck, very nicely, well constructed, and that was the platform for the helicopter. I think it was one helicopter to take off and all.
Uh-huh.
Sometime later, I don't think it was during our Northwest Passage, I think later on, there was a mistake made. The helicopter took off and it was not fully released and was held down and it crashed right
It
there.
was on our
Yeah.
cruise.
That
Is
was
it on
later
the-
on.
Oh, yeah.
That was later on. That happened at Cape Perry.
So you actually had 2
All right,
to start out with.
Let's go out and
Yeah.
I'll tell you the
Did we
story
have
on
2
that.
helicopters?
Yeah, we had
Yeah,
2.
we did. Yeah, we did.
But anyway,
They were
after
the
we
small
got to,
type.
after we got to Seattle and everything,
Mhm.
then we left going out through the Straits of Juan de Fuca and went across the Gulf of Alaska. And I remember it was bad weather.
There were all 3 vessels at this point?
We had all 3 vessels
Okay.
at that point. We was
Bad
all
weather.
3 going. We had bad weather going across. Of course, when we crossed the Aleutian Islands and went up into Bering Strait, they had a schedule to go to Nome and wait for the ice to clear out so that we could go up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, between the time we came through the Aleutian Islands and getting to Nome, we got a message that Point Barrow was clear. So instead of stopping at Nome, we continued on and went to Point Barrow so that we could go back in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, once you get to there, then you start going east.
Uh-huh.
Well,
To
a
go
little,
back.
bit, little bit before then, if I can interject, as I recall, we were going through Little Dynamite and Big Dynamite. You remember
Yes,
that?
yes.
And they called General Quarters,
We loaded
because
our
that is
guns.
a memorable event in my life.
Yeah.
Was that in the Aleutians? That
It's,
was,
it's something to
Just
bear.
before you get up there. I
It's
think
up
these
there.
two, one
And that's
island's
where Russia and
Russian,
the United States
one's
meet.
American.
what happened?
They, somehow or other, I guess your radar spotted jets coming towards the ship. And we have one little gun on the rear, the stern of this thing, and they call it General Quarters, because I'm a smart little electrician, you know, and I know all about this, and they have me passing these shells. We're in a gang of passing
So
shells.
you're a
I
general
said, we ought to be abandoning ship. What the hell are we running these damn shells
I
up
didn't
there?
know they
What are
had
we
all
gonna
that.
hit with this gun, you know? Because we'd had firing practice before we could even hit the balloons we were
Yeah.
shooting at.
agree with that.
I didn't know they had that.
Yeah.
But getting back, that little diamide and big diamide, that's out in the Aleutian chain.
Yeah.
And that's where the United States ends, brief gap of water, and the Soviet Union begin.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually north of the Aleutian Islands.
Yeah, I do recall.
Is the most western point. If you look at a map, there's a point. The most western point of Alaska and Russia is only about 20 miles apart.
Sure.
Okay.
Right.
And that's where the Little Dominide Islands are. Little Dominide, that one particular island.
Right.
So anyway, we got up to Point Barrow.
Well,
We-
what happened with the jets? I mean, did they actually come over?
I guess they saw us on their radar and they were coming to check us out. I don't
And that's
know.
all they
What
did
was
was
all
they-
that
they
That's
about?
all
fly
they
over
did.
you, they
That's
fly
all
over.
they did. And-
Oh, it was nothing. It
It
was,
was
you
nothing.
know, but they
General
called
quarters.
General Quarters.
It's good exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You got a problem, you don't know, if Jody's up there and he has a heart attack, you go to general quarters. That's what a quartermaster's taught to do. Sign
Are
general
you the
quarters.
one that did that, Claire?
Hey, I've done it many a time.
You hit the panic button, huh?
You hit the panic button, hit general quarters. I guarantee you get the captain and everybody else up there in a hurry.
Yeah. Now, you said the captain was Wood. Who was the
Harold
XO?
L. Wood.
Who was the XO?
Phillips.
Robert, I think it's what, Robert or Richard?
Robert Phillips,
Yeah.
he's from Philadelphia, Baltimore area,
Yeah.
Coast Guard Academy graduate, and he was the executive officer of the ship.
Yeah.
We also had another Robert Phillips on the ship.
Huh.
He's a chief damage controlman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where he was from, but he's bore the same name, yeah.
Yeah.
And one fellow was a little more pleasant than the other.
That's always the case, I suppose. Who was it a chief engineer? Who was that? Were you serving as chief?
I was
You were
chief
chief
engineer,
engineer.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. All right. Well,
Now, now, when we got up to Point Barrow, I believe it was July 14th. I think that was
Okay.
the date. And then, of course, they headed east and started heading into the Arctic.
right.
Where was it that we met up with the Labrador?
Oh, that's way
That's
beyond.
way
That's
past-
way
not
beyond.
the Bellot Strait.
We got a long ways to go to get to
Yeah,
Labrador.
okay.
The
Very-
Canadian
that's the
cutter
Canadian
Labrador.
vessel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we
We'll
just-
get back
Anyway.
to that
So
later.
we did stop at Barrow, and you guys went off for a while.
Did they?
Alright? Yes.
I don't recall that, so I don't know.
I know we went Barrow one time. I don't
Yeah.
remember when that
They
Yeah.
was.
But
decided to give you a little break before the.
Well, I
the
know
voyage.
Oh,
that
there's
because
nothing there.
this man saved me being, I wasn't supposed to leave to go ashore, and I did against the orders of his lieutenant.
Did you know it was against the orders?
I did. I wanted to get off. I wanted to see Point Barrow.
Sure.
So John
Why
Wayne
did
was
you
there.
go ashore there?
I did. Well, you bailed me out. But anyway, I went ashore. Of course, I got in trouble for doing so, and this gentleman asked me to apologize to
The lieutenant or the lieutenant. did?
lieutenant, which of course I wouldn't do.
Who was the lieutenant?
His name was what was his name? again?
Well, if Richard Nielsen was in the
Nielsen,
Black
Nielsen.
Gang,
Yeah.
was it Richard Nielsen?
Well, see, I was in the Black Gang because I took on the engineering yeoman assignment.
Oh, yeah,
I
okay.
could type, and they taught
Black
me
gang being the below deck.
below deck.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
common term for the engineering force dating from the days of coal.
Sure. When
Yeah.
everybody was
Yeah.
blackened by it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to take that position because I felt the typing was kind of a sissy job, or as they say in the service, a pussy job.
Mhm.
But anyway, when they told me that I could avoid the taking watch on the helm at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was, I thought that was not a bad idea. So,
Yeah.
and it was warmer below deck, so I took that position. But anyway, I did go ashore and got in trouble for it, and Lieutenant Farley here bailed me out.
Yeah, to the rescue. I bailed
Yeah.
him out,
He
yeah.
did.
He bailed a
When
bunch
is
of us.
bail?
Were you superior to Neil?
Nielsen, yes, he was.
You were the
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he was a Lieutenant J.G. on the ship, Coast Guard Academy graduate
Uh-huh.
from Santa Cruz, California,
Huh.
and the man is absolutely a genius, marvelous brain, marvelous.
Yeah.
He later on quit the Coast Guard as a full commander, not waiting for a pension, and he went to work for some company on a big salary with all kinds of perks because he was a Thomas Alva Edison type brain. He really was very good that way. But also he could be a little strict at times. He was a little strict. But he was a pretty nice fellow. I liked him. And he would put mismatched socks on. He would have his emblem on his collar because he was the absent-minded professor, is what he was. And